everybody, welcome back for today's maths lesson. Now, as you can see from our LO here, today we are going to be using our math skills to convert units of measure. And today we're going to be focusing on kilometres and metres. So what I'd like you to do, I'd like you to get your home learning exercise book. You're going to pause the video. And I would like you to set up your book with the date and the LO at the top. You can see here that my lines are a little bit wonky because I don't have a ruler that's big enough. But hopefully you guys will have a ruler or something else at home to help you draw a nice straight line. So if you pause the video here and you can get right in your LO. Okay, so now your page is all set up. Before we get going with our converting units of measure, I'll explain what that means in a bit. We're going to do a little challenge to warm up our brains. So I'm going to show you some pictures on the screen. The first thing I want you to do is start with the answer to 5 times 5. Now double it. Now add 28. Subtract your answer from 90. Subtract your answer from 90. And what should you end up with? The answer is, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. 12. Well done. 12. So, we've warmed up our brains a little bit. Now what I would like you to do is start thinking about your LO. So your LO, remember, your learning objective, what we're trying to learn today, is to convert units of measure. Now, converting is kind of another word for changing or swapping, okay? So, for example, Mrs Thompson went on holiday to France and she converted her English money, her pounds, to euros. So when you go on holiday, quite often you have to swap your money, change your money for another type of money, and then you can convert it back if you don't spend it. So swapping kind of means converting or changing. So, a little fact before we get going, a little language fact, because you know me, I love a fact about language, is that we're thinking about kilometres today, and kilometres contains that little word root kilo, and kilo actually comes from ancient Greek and it means 1,000. So I have got a tape measure here. Now this is the kind of thing you might have at home, and if you haven't, you will have seen at school we have metre rules which tell us how long 1 metre is. So hopefully you'll be able to see from how far my arms stretch. But a metre is 100 centimetres. So can you see the distance between my 2 fingers is 1 metre. That is 1 metre, 100 centimetres, the distance between my 2 fingers. This is quite a long tape measure, but just up to my fingers there, that is 1 metre. Now, if we think about the word kilometre, and we know that kilo is ancient Greek for 1,000, then have you got any ideas, any guesses, how many lots of, where are we? How many lots of 1 metre there are in 1 kilometre? Have a little think. You are absolutely right. There are 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. So, kilometres are a really good way of measuring big distances. Now, I know that in this country, if we drive on the roads, we quite often see signs that say, 10 miles to London. That's quite an old-fashioned way, really, of measuring distances. But in lots of European countries, for example, they don't use miles anymore, they use kilometres. So kilometres are a good way of measuring big distances, like the distance between two towns. But metres, remember, our 1 metre is 100 centimetres, so this is our 1 metre. That is a good idea for measuring slightly smaller distances, like, for example, you will see lots of signs at the moment in supermarkets and places about adults standing 2 metres away from each other. So that's quite a small distance, so we would use metres instead of kilometres. Okay, so we know a little bit about metres, we know a little bit about kilometres. We know that there are 1,000 metres in 1 kilometre. So today, I want you to keep that fact in your head. So, the fact that we are going to remember is that 1,000 metres, that's 1 with 3 zeros after it, is the same as 1 kilometre. Okay? So that's the fact that I want you to remember, because that's going to help you with all your other questions. Okay, now, if I know that 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre, then I can easily figure out what 2,000 metres is. Can you see I've doubled it there? I have timesed it by 2. I've doubled it to get 2,000 metres. So I'm actually going to double this one too. So any guesses? Have a think. 2,000 metres is 2 kilometres. And 3,000 metres is 3 kilometres. Okay, now I would like you to see if you can figure out these ones for me. So I'm going to write them down and then I want you to pause the video, okay? Okay, so how many metres in 4 kilometres? And how many kilometres is 5,000 metres? Pause the video, write down your answers. Yeah, absolutely. 4 kilometres is 4,000 metres and 5,000 metres is 5. Whoop. That's not very neat, Mrs Thompson. 5 kilometres. So you can see the pattern there. We've got 1,000 metres, 2,000 metres, 3,000 metres, 4,000 metres, 5,000 metres. What do you think? How many kilometres do you think 10,000 metres is? You're right, it's 10 kilometres. And what we can do is we can use our knowledge of ancient Greek to help us. So we know that K is, or kilo, is 1,000 or 1,000. So we're going to say 10,000 metres. And that will help us figure it out. So that's our basic beginning. The trick with today's lesson is start with a fact that you already know. And we already know that 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre. Okay? So, what happens when it gets a little bit trickier? For example, here you can see that half a kilometre, well, what's that going to be in metres? What about a quarter of a kilometre? Or 3/4 of a kilometre? How do we figure those ones out? Well, again, we are going to start with a fact that we already know. So, our fact that we already know is 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre. Now, instead of doubling and getting bigger, we're going to half. So if I know that that's my 1 kilometre, half a kilometre looks like that, doesn't it? So I have halved. I've done my halving. Okay, I've divided by 2. Now, if I've halved this side, I can also halve this side. So, how many metres do you think half a kilometre is? Pause the video and write it down. Yes, you are absolutely right, guys. Half a kilometre is 500 metres. And this time we're going to write down a quarter of a kilometre. And I know that a quarter of a kilometre is written like that. You can also do it in decimals, grown-ups. We're going to worry mostly about this fraction method today in this introductory lesson. Okay, so children, how many metres do you think there are in a quarter of a kilometre? Look, I've divided by 2 here, and I've divided by 2. I've done my halving again. So how many metres in a quarter of a kilometre? You are right, boys and girls. The answer is 250 metres. And can you see that I have halved? So I've done my dividing by 2 here, and I've divided by 2 again. So hopefully you will be able to see that by starting with a fact that I know, I can figure out lots of facts that I don't know. And that's what we're going to be doing in today's lesson. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few examples, and then I'm going to give you some examples to work out on your own. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to work out this question with you. You should be able to see it on the screen. So I have started with my 7,500 metres, and I'm going to convert it to kilometres. But I have used partitioning to help me, because that number all in one go, 7,500, it's quite a big number. So you can see here on the left hand side that I have split up my 7,500 into 7,000 and 500. Now I know, because I know that 1,000 metres is a kilometre, and 2,000 metres is 2 kilometres, and 3,000 metres is 3 kilometres, and 4,000 metres is 4 kilometres. If I keep going, I know that 7,000 metres is 7 kilometres. So that's that side sorted. 7,000 metres is 7 kilometres. And now I look at the other side, I've got my 500 metres. So I had 7,500. Now, I know that 5,000 metres is 5 kilometres. So we're going to go back to the screen now, just to have a look at this. Back to the whiteboard, sorry. So I know that 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre. 5,000 metres is 5 kilometres. And 500 metres, as we said before, is 0.5 kilometres, or half a kilometre. Okay, so now I know, if we go back to the screen, I know that 7,000 metres is 7 kilometres, and I also know my 500, because 500 metres is half a kilometre, or 0.5 kilometres. So if I add those back together, I'm going to get 7.5 kilometres, or 7.5 kilometres. So that's how we do this using partitioning. There are lots of other ways that we can do this, but this is a particularly good way if you're just learning. Okay, start with a fact that you know. So now I want you to have a go on your own, and I'm going to leave my example up there so you can see it. I would like you to convert 8,250 metres 2 kilometres in your book. Use that partitioning method, okay? Think about the facts that you already know. Okay, so pause the video there. I'm going to do a question on my whiteboard and I'm going to show you my answer. Okay, so as you can see, I've started with my 8,250 at the top. Now I've split it into 2. You could split it into 3 sections if that's easier, but I've split it into 2 here. So I've got 8,000 and then I've got my 250. And I know from my facts at the beginning, 1,000 metres, 1 kilometre, 2,000 metres, 2 kilometres, 3,000 metres, 3 kilometres. So I know that 8,000 metres is 8 kilometres. And I also know that my 250, well, that's just like the question before. And that was half a kilometre, but this is 1/4 of a kilometre. And then when I add them back together, you can see that 8 1/4 kilometres, or 8.25, is 8,250 metres. So we're going to do one more example together and then I'm going to give you some independent questions to do. Okay, so here we have, you can see on the screen, 3,600 metres. And you can see that I've split it up into 3,000 metres and 600 metres. Okay. And then, well, I know from my facts, remember we said start with a fact that you know. 1,000 metres is 1 kilometre. 2,000 metres is 2 kilometres. So 3,000 metres must be 3 kilometres. Okay, so I know that part straight away. So that side is all sorted. Now, I'm going to turn and look at the 600 metres side. Now, I know that 6,000 metres is 6 kilometres, so 600 metres, well, that's 10 times smaller. So my answer is going to be 10 times smaller. So if 6,000 metres is 6 kilometres, then 600 metres is 0.6 kilometres because I have made it 10 times smaller. And then, as you can see at the bottom there, I have added my answers back together to get 3.6 kilometres. So I'm going to show you a little picture now on the screen of some questions that I would like you to complete. Now, the first set of questions I'm going to show you are our red pepper questions for today. So they're medium tricky. So if you're thinking, quite good at that, then I would have a go at the red pepper questions. And I am going to show you those now, and I'm going to follow those up with the red pepper answers. If you're thinking, actually, I got those red pepper questions, Mrs Thompson, they were easy peasy lemon squeezy, then you can do the chili pepper questions which come after. On each occasion, I am going to show you the answers and I would like you to mark your own work, okay? Once you send your pictures in to your teacher, you can let us know whether you did the chili pepper or the red pepper. And yeah, we really look forward to seeing your work. This is really quite a tricky thing to do when you first start. So your top tip for today is to start with a fact that you already know. Have a wonderful day, keep working hard, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.